I get to see the strange occurrence that is chats.
Yes.
Hi.
Hello, everyone. I'm live here with Spelledeg. We're
Yay!
talking about her newest comic project, Now Hiring, which the mailing list is now open for. If you haven't signed up for it, I would recommend doing so that you can know when we launch. And how are you doing, Spelledeg?
I'm good. I'm excited and tired and caffeinated.
Yes, perfect. Oops. I'm not used to all these switching screens all the time.
I believe that. I've never seen StreamYard as a client before, so this is pretty cool. It
Yeah,
beats
this is
Google
like
Hangouts.
just the easiest way to stream with people, honestly. But yeah, so originally she was starting this as a web comic, and now we're gonna get them printed into volumes. Right now, I believe volume 1 is for the most part done, right?
Yes, I have the ebook laid out and I have the print version laid out. And when I threw it into the print template thing to just make sure that I didn't break anything, things seemed to work fine. So that's encouraging. Um, yeah, so like that stuff is done. Now it's just like, yay, the lore book.
Oh yeah, she's also working on a concept art PDF for the campaign as well. I'm excited to see that.
Me too. I think it's I've got it up right now in InDesign. I think it's gonna be like 28 pages. It looks like maybe 30. I'm trying to like taper it down. There's just I've drawn a lot for this thing.
Oh, that's good. I mean, people like a lot, so
That's good. I hope they like pseudo history papers too, because there's a 500 word. Here's what happened to the world when aliens landed. Yay, aliens!
yeah, she's
I
writing a whole essay about her world history for this volume, or for this series, I should say.
I mean, the ancient aliens trope already exists, so like you might as well get some mileage out of it. You get weird stuff going on. Why did this happen? Why did this happen that way? I don't know, aliens. But like what if really aliens?
Yeah, getting some background. Is that 1980s or 1880s? If 1980s, I didn't realize I qualified. Well,
So the aliens
beforehand that the
so
aliens
the
came, right?
aliens landed back in like 1000 AD and naturally altered the course of human history. They had like 8 large colonization ships that landed in different parts of the world, like in 20-year different spans. You'll see when you see the PDF and stuff like that, which like lays out when each each ship landed.
Yeah, I got to give them like a timeline.
Yeah, there is a small timeline of events. It is not exceptionally comprehensive, but it at least like gets stuff on the table. The 1980s is not antiquity, although I hear that after you turn 30, you start feeling like an antique. I don't know. I'm not there yet.
Me neither, but I'm already feeling it.
Same.
There's a certain point in time where you just feel like an old soul. I think it just happens when the world around you changes very fast.
Oh yeah, I when I've worked in food service, it's been primarily with a lot of like the up and coming like high school age groups and what have you. And so I'm hearing all of this new slang and new lingo, and I'm like, what does that mean? I have no idea. You're really cute, but I have no idea what you're saying. To quote Finding Nemo.
Oh yeah, for sure.
How are you gonna flex on your dummy thick sis with just I don't know. It's funny. It's really funny to hear like just rapid fire go off.
Yeah, it's like they're speaking a whole other language.
I like yeet though. Yeet can stay. I can annoy. It annoys the hell out of my husband, and so I just like saying yeet.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good reason to use it, just to annoy people.
Yeah.
Just bring out the new slang to make them cringe.
Yeet. Or occasionally saying flex. It's like, ooh, what a flex.
Yeah, there you go. So the plot of this story, we are the main character, Max. You want to tell us about Max?
Oh, my poor unfortunate son.
The slender alien man.
Tall man. He's actually a runt for his species too, which is pretty funny. Like his so Max is a migrant from this little place called Koyamkand, which is kind of in the British Columbia, like mountain areas, like up in Canada and stuff like that. That's the other thing. Like the world territories are a bit differently drawn now because aliens do stuff. Yay, aliens. Yeah, so anyway, he was trying to make it at home. Wasn't working out, so he catches a freight train, boxcar kid style, and comes down to Nevada, where he tries to, pursue that great old American dream, life, love, and the pursuit of happiness. Except none of this is working out very well for him, and he ends up unemployed, homeless, everything sucks. But the mob will hire him, so there's that. Yay!
I do.
Yeah, and ironically enough, like things are actually better working for the mob than they were when he was trying to play by what seemed like the rules. So it's it turns into something of a moral conundrum, but also like there's people who don't hate him for what he is, which is a big help. So yay.
You get all the validation from the people who are supposed to be the bad guys, then it kind of convinces you that the world is backwards. That's definitely how like a lot of real life mobs get people.
Oh yeah,
and everything is that they're very nice to them. They pay them well and treat them right.
Yeah, and like historically, the mafia has done a lot of good things in the name of bad. They funded hospitals, started unions, what have you, all in the name of getting entrenched in whatever community that they're in. So they're significantly harder to eradicate because you have a lot of just regular people who are relying on these services that they start. And it's really, really insidious and clever. And like I love that. I'm like, ooh, that's amazing. That's some cool stuff. But also really insidious.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, that's a good way to get anyone on your side is like make them owe you.
Yeah, yep. Because nothing is free, and it's not the kind of career that you walk away from. At least not outside of a casket.
Yeah, right. So
you don't quit the mob, you die.
I'll post that link again. I am expecting there to not be a huge flow of traffic as we're starting the stream, mostly just because I usually try to stream a bit later, and every time I stream in the afternoon, everyone's like, I'm at work, can't stay, And I get it. For sure, some people will like go back and like watch the streams later. But
yay!
Yeah, you can listen to us rambling about everything later. But yeah, for those of you who are in the chat, we're launching this September 1st. You can join the mailing list. Link in the description, link in the chat. And yeah, she's quite excited. She's bouncing around in a chair.
Dude, this is becoming a real thing, which is super, super surreal. Well, like, because a couple of years ago, actually, let's see. Because I just started working on now hiring again and like posting again 2021. Yeah, so like most of the 140 something pages that go into volume 1 have been drawn over the last year. It's been a busy year.
So wait, when did you first start this?
Okay, so originally I started planning for this in 2016, and it was originally going to be like a fun pseudo sci-fi sort of situation in set in 2168, still in Nevada. Because as readers will find, Max has something of a water allergy. It's yay alien idiosyncrasies. It's a good time. Sucks when it starts raining though. Just yeah, you'll find out. Don't worry.
There's Zim episode.
Yeah. So anyway, and Max was still going to be kind of like a stranger from the outside, but like technology had advanced enough that you had things like magnet lifts. There was a lot of different like electromagnetic like base travel and ways to not have the interference and just amount of free electrons and stuff from that just flying around, that you could have like hovercrafts and other cool stuff like that, and like a lot of different sort of like battery powers. And then it was going to be like a full color sort of adventure. There was also like a grave robbing arc. There was a different antagonist entirely. The big bad, and now hiring. I still love her, hate her. She's a bitch, but you know what? She's fun to write, so it's all good. Was not the main event's big bad problem. There was somebody else who was that. There was also there was magic. Max and Kyo were like real friends. It was just a whole different situation. So anyway, I threw that story soup out, and I'm like, there's just too much going on. And then it was like, okay, well, what if this is like a full color mafia adventure set in the sort of 80s, but like follows the art direction of something like Unsounded. And so I started doing that, but then I was spending like 20 hours or so per page, and I was working full time, like in a produce cooler. Exhausting work, fun, but like I got great biceps while I worked there. But it was not very good for like putting out pages at any sort of like reasonable pace. So put that aside, and then I got engaged, and then we were moving, and everything was nuts. And so then the pandemic hit, and then it's like, and like while all of this was going on, between planning a wedding, moving, life, whatever, didn't get to work on my comic at all. So then 2020 hits, and I'm like, well, I'm home. I wonder if I can still make comics. Yay.
Yeah, I mean, might as well. Mm-hmm. If you're stuck at home, you got to do whatever you can do from home.
Yeah. So it's been like a whole journey. It's funny because Max's parents, although they don't really make like a huge like impact in the story, aside from being like example parents that you don't want to be. Hello, Revzette, I see you in chat.
Yeah, she popped
Yay! I don't know where my train of thought was going. I'm gonna sip some more energy drink.
It'll help wake up the neurons.
Yeah, I was up until 2 a.m. last night. I tried to go to bed at a reasonable hour, and then it didn't work. I sat for like 2 hours in the dark, no blue light, none of that. I'm like, I'm awake. I'm going to get up. And so I did for a bit. And yay.
Yeah. There you go. Let me see. Yeah, I can't do that. Okay. I was trying to like share 2 different tabs, but it won't let me.
No.
So let me instead do this. For those of you who wanted to see like the original webcomic that you can go check out if you want to. I guess now it's like a preview into what is going to be printed.
Yeah, the first 3 full volume, 3 not volumes. Gosh, hopefully this whole thing will only be 3 volumes. Anyway, the first 3 full chapters and part of chapter 4 are on my webcomic site right now. What the print version has that the webcomic does not have is the print version has had a proofreader. Thank you, Trisha. A proofreader and like some like nice editing and a few art cleanups. It's been remastered and looks so much better. And there's less grammatical issues and like less like what the hell are comics and how do I make them issues, and just like, oh no, trying to speedrun because it's the webcomic police. So
yeah, it is like this whole learning process, especially when you were originally like used to doing pages, and then webcomic holds a gun to your head and says, no, you have to do it 1 panel at a time.
Yeah, like,
Just
and
different people
I
wanting
I had
different
tried
things.
to like make this with print in mind, which is why I didn't have to do a lot of reformatting with my pages, because I'm like, okay, gutter space, da 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 da. And I've worked in a print shop before, and I have glared at enough customers who did not bring pieces with like accounted for bleed in, that I didn't want to do that to any future printer. But yeah, if Burning Star hadn't been an option, I was just gonna like eventually pursue print and see if I could do a Kickstarter probably like years from now, and this was just going to continue to be like a fun hobby. But now it's like, wow, this is real.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
I do. One of the things that drew me to the series as I was looking at it was mostly the style. You got your own thing going on here. It's a lot
Thank
more
you.
edged than I guess I'm used to seeing, but it also it did capture my attention.
I'm glad. I take a lot of anime influence. I was a super weeb when I was a teenager, and then I went like way the other way, and then I wasn't happy with how anything looked, and I'm like, fuck it, I like anime. I'm done pretending that I don't like anime. And so I
Yeah.
let it back into my art, and I'm much happier for it.
There is definitely like this other group of people, we're used to seeing like Western anime styles, and
Mm-hmm.
to some extent, people are associating Western anime styles with like only bad stuff because it's being so overused by people who aren't very
Mm-hmm.
talented in the writing field, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm kind of at that point in my life too, where I'm like, you know what? I draw my best when I'm drawing a more anime style, so I'm just gonna go
Mm-hmm.
that direction, even if some people might be like holding up the cross, like no, no Western anime. But I feel like yours is its own thing for the most part.
Thank
Even if you're
you.
taking like influence, it's still very distinct.
Thank you. That means a lot. Yeah, I don't know. It actually got better when I stopped worrying about style, and it was because it was like, that like every artist struggle, like, oh no, I'm never gonna find my style. Bitch, don't worry, it's gonna find you. Your brain is going to simplify things in some way, and then when you have a style, you probably aren't gonna end up wanting it. It's just how your brain breaks things down.
Yeah, for the most part, when it comes to finding your style, either, art wise or writing wise, it's really
Mm-hmm.
just about what your brain falls back on as
Mm-hmm.
your base. And, you know, how you draw a hand. Do you draw it like super squiggly line, or do you draw it super edged? It really just depends on like
Mm-hmm.
what you go to first. That's the way that your brain wants to draw it. I guess like
Yeah.
the thing a lot of people do is they draw something like objective from life, and how you choose to
Mm-hmm.
draw it is like supposed to be like how you lean as far as your style goes.
Yeah, I mean, because that brain making dial-up noise is not a good time, brain. Anyway, but yeah, like that simplification and what you end up drawing out of like whatever it is you're drawing. Like I tend to simplify things to straight lines, because I don't understand the wizardry that is having like a really really round style. Like I really like Bern Hogarth drawing dynamic bodies and like working with color and light. He really really over exaggerates things, but things are very very clear in what they are. Nothing gets lost, which is great. And then there's other artists like some of the old Renaissance styles and what was popular like eons ago, was more rounded features, and a lot of sketches tended to have like primarily like curved lines rather than let's make everything as straight as possible.
Right.
Yay.
I mean, one of the biggest advice professional artists always give people is like break everything down into
Mhm.
shapes, and
It's good
and don't
advice.
use ovals.
it's
Apparently,
it's good advice. It is some of the most annoying advice to receive, but it is good advice. I used to be a regular on the concept art forums, and I really wanted to get into game dev and animation and storyboarding. The storyboarding I know shows through in my work because I favor like film type angles with like how I set up my panels. Um, Still might do that someday. Who knows? We'll see. But just a lot of like, here, just eat the fundamentals. You might not like them right now. It'll be okay though.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of comics is just trying to find like interesting angles, interesting shots, while also coherently telling a story.
Yeah, and then actually that brings up another point too. You don't just want to have like different angles for the sake of different angles. If you've got a primary like point of view character, you can have things angled and set up in such a way that you're seeing things kind of through the eyes of the character or like the mood of the character. Like a lot of frames that I have Max in, even though he's like really, really tall and could be a very imposing figure, he feels small and doesn't want to take up space. He always feels out of place. And so I try to reflect that in like the earlier chapters and just how he handles himself in a body language sense and how he's set up in the frame, how other people respond to him, and just like really, really push the "you are a stranger here" angle. Because, yay! Comics is visual.
Yeah, it is a visual media. And sometimes, you know, people, especially people who get into comics later on, but who are primarily writers, they don't think about the visuals as much. It's like an afterthought. And then you get like these comics where it's just, you know, there's nothing going on visually, and it's just all dialogue, explaining everything, and makes me want to, you know?
Yeah, well, like at that point, it's not really comics. And if you want to have like a semi-illustrated, like prose story or like a hybridization, I have seen those pulled off well. But I've also seen a lot of them that just read like shit because there's not any like page composition taken into mind when they're arranging the prose and the pictures and the everything. And it's just like, ouch, my brain, I hate it.
Yeah, I like writing stories, but I'm definitely like probably a visual person first. I really like visually telling a story more than just like explaining a story to the audience, you know?
Same. Like what I hate is when I find a note from past me in my outline. There was a crowd with a lot of cars. That's like that's not very many words, but then you go to draw it and now you're just stuck suffering with it.
Right.
Actually, so funny story. So the bookstore that's in chapter 3, Newt's Lodge. Thank you to the random name generator that I got that name from. Was originally going to take place at a car lot. And I thought it was going to be so cool because I'd get to draw a bunch of 80s cars. And so then, like 2 pages before the scene, I'm like, I don't want to draw that many cars. Not that bookshelves are much better, honestly. Bookshelves suck. There's so much perspective there and like little lines.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you're doing it traditionally, it's just like, I'm like super digital artist now. But there was a point where I would like try to do the background super detailed traditionally, and that was a huge pain. Nowadays, there's a lot of good, useful tools you can use to save the time. Obviously, you know, 3D models and stuff like that. Although I don't like using straight up 3D models on the page. I usually just use it for a reference.
Yeah, well, and like
all these like webtoons people,
because usually it just looks bad.
Yeah.
Use 3D, absolutely use 3D. You know, save time, cut as many quarters without looking like hot shit as you can. But like, if it doesn't mesh with the character style, I don't want to look at it. I don't care how hot your anime boys are with their stupid contrived webtoon drops.
I mean, it's basically how like base for all the webtoon is just like 3D background, and if it doesn't look right, they just blur it or something like that. Which
which like it can work, but again, like you've got to make it work with a style. Oh, my hand is here. I'm talking with my hands, but they're like over here off shoulder movements. But you want to have like good visual cohesion, whatever it is you're doing, to make it look intentional. Otherwise, something's gonna look whack. Like,
Another thing I noticed, this isn't I haven't seen it in webtoons yet, but I've seen it in certain manga series where they'll literally just use a black and white real photograph that they took, and then they'll just cut out the people and then like draw on top of it.
Yeah, and I've seen that work very well, but they also do enough like stuff in post to the photo that it doesn't just look like a verbatim. We found this on Google Maps. This is our background now. Among other things, that's a great way to get like.
Usually they go out and they take the photos themselves.
Yes, yeah. Which is awesome.
Sometimes it looks good.
Yes.
Sometimes it really looks out of place, though. It just depends how they do it.
Yeah. Shoot, a manga that I've been reading through. Well, I was reading through until I ran out of chapters to read. Was Vinland Saga, and oh my gosh, it's amazing. It does something for me. It's like, wow, so much good drawing. I can't get over it.
It's the only Viking anime that I know.
Well, so I watched the anime when it got released on Prime, and I'm like, what is this? I like historical alternate fiction. I'm interested. I'm very interested. That's my soft spot, like historical fiction or like loosely historical fiction period pieces. I love them. They're my favorite thing. I don't actually like the 1980s, and I'm going to say that now. I know it's hilarious that my comic is in the 80s, but like, you see, I needed Pablo Escobar alive for reasons. Colombian drug lord needed to be alive for reasons. But yeah, like, it's the only Viking anime that I've seen, and the artist and like the assistants behind it have done so much gorgeous research. And then I went and I watched Vikings or whatever it was, and I was like sorely disappointed because it's not anime, and I was sad. So, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing that people take for granted is doing research for their story before they actually start writing it.
Yeah.
You can always tell when spent a few about something they don't know a lot about.
Hello, Daff and Spelledeg. Yep, Spelledeg. Or Spello. Strange lady who draws stuff.
Yeah.
Topless alien women. I just found the chat tab.
Oh, now you're invested. Someone's asking, they said cite stuff, but I know that they mean write stuff. Apparently, Crunchyroll, aka Sony, like acquired rights.
Oh, huh.
Anime site.
That's gonna be interesting. I hope they do something about High Guardian Spice.
Well, the thing that they're doing about it is not talking about it, not getting another season, just pretend it didn't happen.
That's the right answer.
It's probably the only thing they can do.
The takeover that I'm more upset about is like the Discovery and I think it's Warner Bros. Like merger that resulted in like Batgirl getting canceled and a lot of other projects that were either done or nearly done getting canceled because they just wanted to. Well, Discovery just wanted to like wipe the competition off the face of the earth. It's like, oh no, monopolies.
Yeah, you know, in theory, America should have these laws in place to stop this stuff from happening, but nobody does anything about it. They just see it happening, and then there's just nothing's done about it. It's not working.
Yeah.
It's very frustrating, but
it is. It's why I happily I don't know, like cackle maniacally every time Disney stock score goes down.
Right. Crash. I mean, the Disney that I grew up with and today's Disney are just not the same.
No, and it's been really interesting to see how things have changed. Over the years and like who's been in charge of Disney as to whether or not they focus on merchandising versus story versus whoever their biggest corporate backer is at the current moment. Which, why does a corporation have a corporate backer? That's suspicious, but that's a problem for another time.
Right.
And I don't have the answers. I just whine on the internet.
I mean, at the end of the day, I do comics, I do YouTube sometimes, but for the most part, I'm not going to like go into politics and change the world. I'm just going to be careful of who I vote for, basically. That's all you can do.
Yeah. In this world as things are right now, that's about all you can do. Alternatively, go out and start a hippie commune in like Montana or Missouri, where you basically just have flat and strip malls. But yeah.
Yeah.
Really good food, though.
I wouldn't know. Apparently, they were going to make that Batwoman movie with the race swap Batwoman, and it got canceled because it was apparently just so bad that it was irredeemable. And I'm thinking to myself, how bad could that movie have been?
There's the George Clooney Batman, which you should watch because it's hilarious. It's also horrible. I love it. Oh yeah, the Blue Sky closure. I know there was going to be a Nimona film at one point in time that was like in the works. I read the web comic back in, I don't know, whenever it was still releasing, like a millennia ago in internet time. And there was going to be a movie, and it was going to be cool, and it was going to be done through Blue Sky Studios. But yeah, then Blue Sky got shut down, which sucks big time. I weep.
Yeah, I mean, basically all they had was like Ice Age, from what I know from Blue Sky.
I think so, yeah.
And that was their big thing, and then everything else was just like a super failure.
Yeah.
It's rough, but that's what happens.
Yeah, and I wonder if somebody will end up eventually leaking the new bad Batgirl movie or whatever. I don't know. I'm not really one for superheroes. Like I didn't touch comics for the longest time because I thought that all comics were like DC and Marvel superhero shit, and I'm like, I don't identify with any of that. This is stupid. And then I discovered webcomics, and I'm like, wow, there is more.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, they aren't reading DC or Marvel anymore. They're just all reading manga anyway. So
yeah,
it's just one of those things where they try to like do the movie thing and tie those into the comics, but that didn't work out very well. And if you're actually looking at the comics these days that they're putting out there, they're not tying into the movies. They're just doing their own thing. They're always so random. It's just not very new reader friendly.
Yeah, and like not everything has to be One Piece or this massive, giant, sprawling whatever. It could even just, I love one-shots. One-shots are great because they are self-contained, but like there's a lot more of those that seem more accessible in the manga sphere than they do in the Western comic sphere. I know that's not the case for like a lot of independent presses and stuff like that, which brings me joy because yay, support small comics. But it does make it difficult when the big two have like the biggest piece of the pie and they keep shitting in it instead of like making nice pie.
Right.
Weeps.
Yeah. And I've definitely enjoyed like my fair share of webcomics here and there. I definitely have to like really search for the good ones because most of the ones that are being pushed are just crap. Yeah, and then there's like this whole other section of people who don't really know what they're doing, thinking that they can just be famous, and then you gotta like look for the really passionate ones in there.
Oh man, imagine starting a webcomic to be famous.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, I guess it has happened for some people, but even those people are like,
yeah, and like so I feel kind of bad for a lot of people who are like just getting into webcomics now. especially if they're posting on bigger hosting sites, if only because the companies behind these sites looking at you, Webtoon, directly in the face, glaring at you. They wait to see if the title gets popular, and then if it does, then they will back them. So they have guaranteed success in their picks for the most part. And it's just it really feeds into the whole popularity contest thing, and it encourages a lot of quantity over quality because like I've looked at the Lore Olympus print version, and it is not a very well laid out book, and that might be because I'm a print snob and I've worked in a print shop before, but they don't make the most of the medium. They just like slapdashed panels here and there, and it's just they're not good.
Well, Webtoon, because of its different format, panel by panel, they also make it more difficult to put it into print.
Yeah, but then you just get rid of like a lot of the extra white space, and it does require more work to like actually set things up and like have them work. But it would look so much better. I know for a little while I was posting now hiring on Webtoon, and I wasn't doing it page by page. I broke apart every page, got rid of the dialogue layers and stuff like that, laid out each panel in a way that looked visually appealing for the scrolling format, added the dialogue back in, drew a couple additional panels here and there where I needed it because I wanted it to like actually, you know, fit in, not look like hot shit. It just, that's a lot of work. But make the most of your medium.
Right.
I say as I drink my energy drink.
Yeah. Apparently, like, that's another thing with mangas. They, some things are done digitally first. They have like those apps that you can get and read manga on. So what a lot of them are starting to do in more recent years is make pages with really big panels that are easier to read on like mobile or in comic format.
Yeah.
But still works on a page print-wise. So they got that good medium, you know? Oh, thanks for the super chat, Bushin Ryu Cat. Dan, to give back for the entertainment you give us. Admit the Gotham HS comic is horrible, but you'd watch a live TV version for giggles. Yeah, I would.
Is that the, I keep seeing fan art for some, I don't know, Raven and Beast Boy as like SoCal teens. Is that fan art from, I don't know. Like I said, I don't really read mainstream comics.
Oh, I think what they were referring to was the Gotham High. I don't know if you knew about that. It was a DCYA comic. It was awful.
That sounds pretty cursed. Honestly, it sounds like a Neopets roleplay prompt.
They made it a love triangle between Catwoman, Batman, and the Joker. And it made no sense.
No.
Yeah.
You know what? Like, unless Batman and the Joker were like the main attraction, I don't really care about that shit. That would have been funny. Like the Lego movie style.
You know, if they had made it more satire-esque, I could see it being a decent, funny book. But no, they were like going at it dead serious.
Or like some of the other weird comic think pieces that I've seen like bits and pieces of on the internet. The I'm Not Starfire. Starfire's weird goth daughter who.
Yeah, I read that.
I've read enough of it to know that I don't want to read the rest of it.
I gotta say, though, I've read Mariko Tamaki's previous works. I thought that was actually an upgrade, believe it or not.
Ouch.
Yeah. Damn. She had some really bad comic runs. Before that, she did another DCYA that was Harley Quinn. That was fucking awful. And then before that, I think she did a like actual She-Hulk run.
That sounds like it could be interesting. Could be. I mean, I don't know enough about the lore of She-Hulk.
Yeah, basically they took the things that made She-Hulk unique and just like threw that in the trash, and then decided that she's the exact same thing as the Hulk. She just like gets savage and green, and she's not only like super tough, but she's like stronger than the Hulk because she's a woman, I guess. I don't know.
It's the tits power. Imagine if tits equated to power. It would be a whole different world.
Yeah, nipple beams. Beep.
Austin Powers. Oh man, so I would unironically read like an Austin Powers flavored manga that was just like leaning heavy into like the heavy metal angle of it and just be like super edgy, takes itself seriously, would probably look like some kind of horrible abomination of like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Fire Punch, and like a shoujo drama if it existed.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Boobs are definitely powerful. They just don't give you, like, maximum testosterone for your punching powers. Not that I've experienced personally, anyway. So, you know.
Yeah, have you ever seen, like, Keijo? He's got the titty hypnosis. You just gotta sway side to side, and then they'll do whatever you want. But, yeah, people in chat mentioning the DCYA comics, because, like, I'm on a mission to read all of them for
Brave
YouTube.
soul.
Yeah, I know, right?
You are a brave soul. I feel sorry for your, like, frontal cortex that has to, like, process all of this information.
I'm, like, halfway through most of them now, and they're not very good, as you can imagine. So a lot of them are mostly just boring, though, which is like a whole other problem. So I have to try to make them entertaining for the video.
Oh, at Spelledeg, can you link your YouTube page so I can follow? I don't actually have a YouTube page because, as you see, I am not a video content creator. This is the first time I've been on a stream since I was trying to stream on like Picarto in 2013. It's been a while since then.
I mean, you can feel free to make a YouTube. You can post speed paints or whatever.
Actually, no, I take it back. Like, I technically do have a YouTube where I've posted a small handful of speed things, but I don't talk. I have no voice on YouTube.
Your first voice on YouTube appearance.
Yeah. Like, there's an occasional voice, like, on my Instagram stories and stuff like that, because it's Instagram, and I don't know what you're gonna do. But I also just post, like, cute things on Instagram, like when I draw a cat, or other, like, commission-type stuff like that.
Good for that.
And basically anything that's not like, ooh, I'm drawing gore today for my comic. How fun. Yay.
Hey, some people are gore too, I guess.
Oh yeah, it's just like Instagram's algorithm is the most awful, horrible thing in the world. Thanks Facebook and Meta and, you know, our tech overlords. But they don't like it if you have like too diverse of content on your page. And so my main one is like just like cutesy commissions and like cats, or like when I'm doing more traditional stuff. I do have another one that I post like bits of comic and stuff like that, but I'm also like, am I going to get flagged for posting gore or tits or something? I don't know. I haven't found out yet.
Yeah, the things that I've noticed get the most attention on Instagram is like thoughts and cute stuff. Sometimes art too.
Yeah, like the watercolor tag is pretty good. The thing is, it's boring to do nothing but watercolor. And oil pastel is great. You can get like all of the joy of like thick, heavy oil painting with way less cleanup.
Yeah, I used to play around with watercolor. I got those like whatever they call them, like I don't even know what they're called. They're like the brush pens, but they already have like the color in them.
Oh,
so you're, like, brushing
that's weird. Huh.
The color onto the page, and they work for the most part. But watercolor is just for me a little bit too chaotic to really get it exactly the way I want it.
I see. Yeah, like that's part of what I love about it. And I know I mentioned, I think before stream started, that I teach classes and stuff sometimes. And my favorite thing with the intro to like watercolors classes that I've done is this is going to look bad for the first 90% of the painting. Just accept it. This is just part of watercolor. You don't know what it's going to do. The color might look a little bit different dry than it is wet. It depends on what kind of pigments you're using. It depends on the kind of paint. Are you going to get some like granulation? Like Grimbacher and Winsor and Newton don't always play nice together. Which, if you want granulation, great, granulation. But if you don't, oh no. But yeah, like everything comes together like in the last 10 minutes when you're adding like all of the major like all of the last minute details, and especially if you go in with like a white gel pen or something like that.
Right. But yeah, like I said before, I've practically been exclusively digital. I have been doing some original art to sell as like a side thing, because most of my stuff on the website right now is digital, so you got to have something else up on there that'll pull some more in.
Yeah, actually, so before I had reached out to you as like a publisher and stuff like that, I really wanted to hold the first chapter of Now Hiring in my hands, and so like I did like
nice
style of like I want to hold this in my hands, and it was like just a fun sort of like print test. It's like, how is my contrast? Does this work? Could I feasibly do this in like just black and white? I'm like, I mean, I could, but like, I love some red blood, so.
Right. So for those of you who don't know, like parts of Now Hiring are black and white, but then it's also like mixed with color every now and then, so it's a hybrid.
Yay, limited color. So when there's blood, it's bloody. And then like the banner thingy that's there is one of the full splash page thingies in chapter 3. So there's a really fun story behind that particular spread, right? Because originally that scene didn't exist, but then when I decided that it did, and it was like, oh, Max is in Reno. Reno's probably got a skywalk, right? Reno does not have a skywalk. So I invented a skywalk, but then it was like, oh, hey, well, like, what's actually worth looking at in Reno? And it's like, oh, hey, there's the Virginia Street, the Virginia Street Bridge and the Hotel Riverside, which was a really, really popular resort in like the 1960s. So I did a lot of research and looked at like 1960s and 50s postcards to get an idea for what it looked like, because now in modern day, the Hotel Riverside, which is a real building that exists, is just overpriced like artist lofts, and there's a food truck behind it. There's no longer the pool and like all of the other cool stuff there. And the bridge is different too, because it had structural integrity issues in like 2014 or 2016. They redid it. Yay, historical accuracy in places nobody cares about it.
Well, I mean, it's a good shot. That's why I wanted to use it for the banners, like really colorful and nice, him looking out on the city.
So I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, sometimes it matters more so about like how pretty it looks as opposed to how accurate it is.
Yeah, and I've been like slowly like letting go of oh no, it's not accurate, and it's like I don't care. Like the vibe is there. I accept vibes now.
Yeah, I mean, the same can be said of a lot of other stuff like fantasy. A lot of fantasy pieces, people maybe are using like fire arrows, and there's a group of people who will come and be like, fire arrows didn't exist that way. That's not how they worked. And it's like, yeah, but they wanted to use them for this cool scene, so who really cares, you know?
Yeah, like as long as it serves the story, it's enough. Reminds me of the old-fashioned like world building trap that I've seen a lot of like authors fall into. And like you can have like the coolest like fleshed out world, whatever, but if you don't have at least some form of human-like element to it, people have a very, very difficult time actually connecting to it and caring about what the fuck you have to say.
Right. And like I said before, it is important to do like research for
Oh yeah.
what you're writing about. It's just like, it's kind of a balance between like how accurate you really want it to be and how much you kind of want to bend and break it, you know? So long as you're suspending your disbelief, it should be fine.
Yes. And like having like having a small smattering of like exceptionally mundane things that are established in the world that maybe are kind of unusual. I don't know, maybe in your world cats just float and that's just part of life. Nobody bats an eye. Who the fuck cares? It's just a floating cat.
Right.
Then it can like help ground things in different ways too.
Right. So long as you're like setting up the
Oh yeah.
and like sticking to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's another big thing with like whenever anyone is critiquing magic in a story, that's the main thing that they point to is just something that's set up that's like contradicted later.
Yeah. Like as long as there's like good internal logic, I don't care how ridiculous the world is. If I think it's interesting, I'm gonna keep reading. I just want it to like make sense within itself and not suddenly different rules apply 5 chapters later.
It's code, baby, says historical inaccuracy drives up engagement, even if it's only a bunch of people complaining. We're talking about it.
This is true. I can't wait to hear how many people get mad about different bands or like films that came out in a particular month in 1983 that weren't accurate that I had on a movie side.
Yeah, another thing though that I also see is like people assuming something in a movie is accurate.
Oh
it's
yeah.
like there's just random information that a movie will make up, and then people, I don't know, it's like Mandela effect or whatever they call it, where they just like assume it's true and then go on their whole lives believing it until yeah, that's a whole other problem. I don't ever want to be responsible for that. I hope people know that 90% of the stuff that I'm spewing out in a lot of my books are completely fictional. But, you know.
Ooh, newest installment. Hold on, I gotta look at chat. What is the Rippaverse?
Oh, the Rippaverse.
Yeah, Eric's July as an anchor for the Rippaverse.
Oh, I see what you're reacting to. Yeah, so Eric July is this independent creator, also on YouTube, started on YouTube. He recently has been launching his own, well, not really launching per se. I guess still technically it would be called launching. He like funded it himself. His new comic publishing company, similarly to DC and Marvel, he's trying to start like a new superhero universe. So I'm a little bit confused why they're every now and then I get like a comment like, oh, why don't you go like show your stuff to young Rippa? And I'm thinking to myself, I don't think he'd be interested in any of my indie work. It sounds like he already knows what he wants to do for his comic universe, you know?
Yeah.
He's been very successful in starting that though. It's like he made like 3 million in a few days or something. It was like crazy.
That's awesome. Dude, good for him. Like I'm always, even if I don't like the content, I'm always happy when I see independent content creators like succeeding, because it's just another like poison dart to the stupid big looming companies that are way too big for their britches and should just like collapse under their own weight into a fiery cesspit of death. But anyway, until that happens.
No, I know exactly what you mean. It's time to show all your love to the independent stuff.
Oh yeah. And like that's why like in addition to my own project, I color for a webcomic that's going on right now, and I just signed on to be a page artist for somebody else's independent project. So I'm excited about that. So like that's starting next week. I get to start doing some preliminary stuff and see about how matching art styles in the trial period and all of that goes. So I'm excited. I like comics, and so I keep sticking my nose into them. Oh no.
Well, hopefully you don't like have overbearing work on you.
Nah, I've been between projects for a couple of weeks now, which has been really great downtime to try to like finish all of the stuff for now hiring volume 1 and like all of the extra like odds and ends. So prior to this, I mistakenly thought there's probably 10 steps to publishing. This is how this works. No. There's like 237 steps to publishing.
Yeah, it can be complicated.
Mm-hmm.
I was just showing this comment because I thought it was nice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Never mind me.
Yeah, I know like the bicycle boy, so Jack Arias, he works with Hiveworks and stuff like that, recently did a successful Kickstarter for Bicycle Boy Volume 1, and it got funded in like the first 2 days above and beyond, and I am so happy because like he's a great creator and just a really cool dude too. So
Wow, that's
I'm
awesome.
always like, yay! So I'm hoping some of my other friends will be like launching Kickstarters and stuff too, because like I want to hold their comics in my hands. I want to shove it in people's faces, read about this poor cyborg man.
Especially for these webcomic creators who I think are actually talented.
Mm-hmm.
I'm even more supportive of them, like getting their stuff out there to be printed and actually sold, because they're basically just like giving their labor away for free online, you know?
Yeah.
And people talk about how like, oh, well, you know, webcomics can make money on ads, but it's not really gonna give you the money that it's worth.
No, and like it's not really sustainable. Like, I don't know, you might be able to pay for your coffee habit.
Yeah, right.
My coffee habit. But like you're not really going to like make a living on it. Other fun issues that go into like art as an industry in general is people not wanting to pay for it. And so it's like, oh, well, I could do that. I'm like, okay, go for it. You know, make my day. You want to design, you want this poster that you say you can just make, go for it. I'll watch.
It's a really frustrating part of comics is that, especially in America, I've noticed, is that people don't really look at it as though it is valuable. People look at webcomics and they're like, oh, well, these are free, so therefore they're not worth anything. Just, you know, read it all for free. And even throughout history, comics have always been sold at a really low price here.
Yeah.
So it's hard to now try to, you know, as indie creators, it's hard to now try to sell yourself for what you're actually worth.
Yeah.
Japan has a much easier time, and they've created like a whole culture around comics. They definitely went about it a more smarter way than America has, I think.
Yeah. And like let's see, because like the Korean webcomic scene, like as an actual industry, is like a much like it's built up, and so is the French scene. I think that's what you were saying. I'm hoping to see more of like a renaissance of like US based like authors and artists, primarily the art end, because it's really hard to work and spread yourself over like 2 distinctly giant projects as an artist. But if you're a writer, you can write like 30 scripts with like relative quick like speediness. Oh yes, I like the gummy bear one too. This is yeah.
Nice
So they were out of my favorite C4. I really like the pink Starburst and the lemon Starburst C4, but they were out and they had this. But yeah, the white gummy bear flavor is also good. Does not taste like hot garbage. Hey, Ghost Cat, good to see you.
Is that a fun beers?
Yeah. So I not to like plug something else that I'm doing. I started a webcomic collective last year called On Tenterhook, which is focused on like thrillers and like thriller-ish comics, with the basis of, well, yeah, we might just be some nobodies shouting into the void, but if you get enough nobodies shouting into the void, somebody is going to notice. And
it's true.
So I want people to read comics. It's not a publisher or anything like that. There's no like, weird conflict of interests here, but it's just a collection of curated like thriller type and comics and with their respective overlapping genres. and Ghost Cat is a member of it, which is pretty cool. I started doing some interviews for it last week. Oh, that sounds like a fun thing to do.
Animating cats in order to calm down. Animation takes a while. That wouldn't calm me down.
It does. It would not calm me. My cat is here. Speaking of cats. Hi, honey. My baby. Hi.
Got the baby cat.
Her name is Honey.
Aw.
Oh, she's purring. The baby. Boop. Oh, here, get off of my cord. No, move your tail.
She just wants to be involved in the video.
She does. It happens whenever I talk to anybody on like Skype or Discord or like anything like that.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. I mean, that'll get you all the likes. Just post the cat on Instagram or on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you get famous.
Hi. Yeah. I don't know if she's a Maine Coon. I am short, and so everything just looks larger in my arms, and this is just part of the reality. But she was like a super underweight outdoor barn cat when we got her, and now she has no desire whatsoever to go outside. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she had all kinds of problems. Now she's just a happy inside cat who runs around and sheds everywhere. Thanks.
Yeah, I think most pets would just be like very upset if they weren't allowed to be pets anymore. You know, like the PETA thing where they're like, keeping animals as pets is like abuse. But if I just let my dog outside and refuse to let her back in, she would be so sad.
Mm-hmm. Here, you stay here. Yeah, okay. She's sitting on my tablet now. She's pleased. She can sit on my electronics. That's her like one goal in life.
All right. Well, I guess we'll start wrapping up the stream. So for those of you who haven't heard the news, the Now Hiring mailing list is open. Feel free to join it and get notified when we're launching very soon, September 1st, for the print edition of Now Hiring Volume 1.
I am so excited.
Yeah, all done by Spell, who is below me at the moment.
Hello. Goodbye.
Great artist, talented writer, and I think that most of you will really enjoy it.
Yay!
I don't know if you have any closing remarks, but places where they can follow you or anything like that.
I'm Spelledeg on Comic Fury, where my comic is currently hosted. I do beat up pinups. So like most comics do like cheesecake pinups where they're like, haha, titties, if you vote for my comic. And I do violence instead. And then I'm on Instagram, and occasionally I'm on Twitter. I've been trying to get back on Twitter just like exclusively so I can shout about this.
Right.
But yeah, same handle, Spelledeg.
Alrighty.
Yay. Well, thanks for having me, Dannphan.
And thanks for joining me for the stream. It's been fun. So.
It has been fun. It's nice to see, like, put a name to the face. Like, I've seen your videos, but like it's different when, you know, like you're actually like conversing. You are shedding everywhere, you silly little fur face. She's licking my hands now. I'm a happy cat.
Yeah, whatever you got on your hand is super tasty to her.
Skin.
Delicious flesh.
Oh.
Good night, everybody, or good
Peace
afternoon.
Out.
Yeah.
Happy Friday.
Happy
Read
Friday.
my comic.